Good morning, everybody, and welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Thursday, the 30th of January. It is game day, of course. Rangers taking on Union Saint-Gilloise tonight in the Europa League. And to look ahead to the game and discuss all things Rangers, Stevie Clifford joins us. How's it going, Stevie?
I'm all right, Derek. It's been a rough few days. Hit a pothole, Derek, on Monday, right? They're just after Silverburn, as you head towards the Harlot roundabout. There's two big holes on the left-hand side, and I copped one of them. And my bill is just under £800.
Wow.
So snapped the suspension on the front, something like some rod that sits in, and then the wheel detached. And oh man, honestly, but it's on my dash cam, so I'll be putting in a complaint and all that kind of stuff. But oh mate, it was rough. I was driving the other day and I was like, "Aye, this ain't right." So just pulling all to the side. So I got that news yesterday. So it's away in the garage. Hopefully get it back this morning. So yeah, that was painful.
Yeah, Bob says, sue the council, Stevie. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's on dash cam, so you can actually see it. Then you can see me hit it and everything else. In the garage will give me a report, but I don't know if it'll do anything, but I'll certainly try. So yep, it's not great. There's two massive holes, Derek, so not really great.
Yeah, get the road sorted out if you work for the council there. Get the money spent, get the road sorted. That is an absolute disgrace. Hate stuff like that happening. So hopefully you get the car sorted, Stevie. But
my wee course, I can't survive that, Derek.
Not ideal. Yeah, not good. Big hello to RS40. I've never had someone tuning in from base camp in Nepal before. So howdy to you, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Right, let's crack on because there is plenty to discuss. We'll talk about the game shortly. As I touched on, Rangers taking on our old foes, Union Saint-Gilloise. But it was press conference day yesterday. Big news, of course, was the appointment of a new assistant to Philippe Clement's backroom team. André Zolderlink has departed for personal reasons, and Rangers have welcomed the Moroccan Issam Charai as the new assistant manager. He comes from Strasbourg, from France. He's previously worked in the Belgian Pro League as an assistant manager. He was the Morocco under-23 manager. And knows Hamza Egeman, worked with Hamza Egeman, actually scouted and gave a report to Philippe Clement on Egeman prior to him signing. So that is a link there, of course. And he has joined the coaching staff at Rangers. Can't say I know too much about him, Stevie, but he's someone, of course, that Philippe Clement knows. Actually checked in with our good Moroccan friends that gave us that wonderful PowerPoint presentation on Hamza Egeman in the summer. He says he's knocked back first team roles at a number of clubs prior to taking this one. Rangers have brought him in. He seems to be highly respected, Stevie, and he joins the coaching staff.
Yeah, listen, I think first thing, I'd like to wish André Zolderlink all the best, because he's gone through a really difficult personal kind of thing. It was something, Derek, obviously, that we've been aware of for a while, but not something we're going to discuss or speculate on somebody's private life. So, it's terrible that he's had to return and not able to carry on and stuff. So first things first, wish him all the best. Secondly, new lad coming in. Look, I think it fills the space, doesn't it? First of all, he's obviously worked with Philippe closely in the past, like you said, with Egeman and stuff. Morocco under-23 manager, I believe. He's got a bit of experience in there. Is it too much to ask that he can know how to organise and create a set piece? That would be lovely. But apart from that, I'm like you, don't know much about him. But it is on paper, makes sense. And I know now that they're actually filling a few places at the club. There's a few head of departments and things getting worked on and going in. So I think it's a case of watch this space, Derek, with regards to others that are coming into the club as well. So it seems to be moving in the right direction, that's for sure.
Yep, he will join the backroom team. And from speaking to the Moroccan boys last night, I was told that he's pragmatic, he's tactically flexible, able to adapt from a 3-5-2 to a 4-3-3, and he did have offers, I touched on, to become a head coach elsewhere. He wasn't interested, told he only wants to take serious projects. So he has arrived, and a big warm welcome to him. I wonder if, of course, we've seen Hamza Igman arrive. Stevie's been a massive success. I wonder if Rangers might just tap into that market even more. I think it certainly is one that could prove to be fruitful for Rangers, and would not surprise me if Igman is not the last Moroccan to set foot inside Ibrox.
I think we have to tap into markets that aren't well known, don't we?
Yeah.
So the Moroccan one, obviously, where we found Igman is a good one. Jefty being in Cyprus, these are leagues that we have to tap into, Derek, to try and get the best value. And I mean, it's nice actually when you look at the kind of summer last summer business and where we kind of plucked people from, those couple being the highlight. I wouldn't be surprised to see us go back there, Derek, and try and work in the more obscure market, because you're getting real value there if you can find a gem. Now, we're never ever going to find a Hamza Igman, every summer. It'd be wonderful if we could, because that would solve a lot of things. But I just see, if you take away the kind of the buying and the selling side of it and everything else, he's an absolute joy to watch, and he makes games like tonight really exciting. He makes that prospect really exciting to go and see the team. He's got that little bit of flair and raw arrogance, a little bit of unpredictability. He makes Rangers actually really enjoyable. So if you can find me one of them every couple of years by scouting these kind of obscure markets, then absolutely go for it, and we'll see how we go on. But yeah, could we go back into these markets with people with more knowledge and things? If there's value there, Derek, then absolutely. Because we can't. I think, to expand slightly on that and why we would say that, if you look at our shopping in the English market and things like that, you're competing in a market that we can't compete in.
Nah.
And even to get the most average of players, and I don't even want to name them, they're all there. Everybody knows who they are. You're paying absolute maximum amount of money and not getting the value for them. So we need to be a wee bit more obscure, don't we? We need to be a wee bit more clever in what we're doing. So that's where Niels Coppin comes in. And there's been a lot of discussion around Niels Coppin, and I was one of the ones that said I wasn't sure whether or not we should have promoted him and things like that. But one thing for sure, Derek, is he certainly put value in this Rangers team individually. And if you can get a Hamza Igman and put his value up to where it should be and things like that, which is getting discussed at the moment, then Neil Coppin's pretty much doing his job. His job now becomes more difficult when you might have a bit more money to spend. If you do sell one of these guys, that you have to go and replace them and find the next best thing. So yeah, it's an interesting time. The wheel never really stops in terms of that, Derek, does it? Because if you find one, you're almost certainly lining him up to sell him for the big money and then replace him, and it just keeps going and going. So
yeah,
it's certainly going to be interesting. And an answer to your, maybe a wider answer to your question, I think.
Yep. Right, let's move on to transfer news. I spotted a few comments coming in. Robert Binney says, Derek, talk about Matondo. Yeah, you'll see this.
I've just seen that as well. Ajax, Matondo. Ajax, you don't need to eye him, just take him. Like, honestly, there's no eye in here. You can just have him.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you must have some agent, by the way, if Ajax are keen on him. But this is a report from Holland, from The Telegraph, which is a top publication over there in the Netherlands. And the report to Ajax keeping tabs on a number of players. And on Matondo, it reads, Ajax's scouting team is also particularly charmed by Rabbi Matondo from Rangers FC. He's an English-born Welshman of Congolese descent who played in the youth academy of Man City and was bought by Schalke for €10 million in 2019. After a loan to Cercle Bruges, he ended up at Rangers in 2022. He made his debut for the Welsh national team at the age of 18, partly due to a hamstring injury. He only played 327 minutes this season. That certainly caught my eye this morning. Stevie, seen that report. Now, we know that a move to Coventry broke down over an impasse with regards to add-ons to his move down there. It was going to be a loan deal, of course, I think, with an option to buy on that one, but that seems to have hit the wall. But if he gets a move to Ajax, then fair play to him, because that would be a sensational switch for him. But it's imperative Rangers move him on. We spoke about Matondo at length on various videos, but he is one of a handful of players that Rangers need to ship out the door.
Yeah. Wow. Extraordinary if he finds himself out in Ajax. But you know what? as you just said, without sounding really brutal or whatever, he's getting far too much money to be sitting around offering absolutely nothing to Rangers Football Club.
Yeah.
I don't care what we get for him. I don't care if we don't get anything for him. Just get him out the door, Derek, because he's just a total drain on resources. He's never available. He's used 300 odd minutes so far. Like, he's just, it doesn't benefit us in any way, and especially when we're trying to restructure and everything else. And if you look at the players that are running out of contract and things like the ones we do want to keep, then our resources are much better spent on these guys rather than a boy who's just, I'm not going to suggest he's not got the heart for it or anything, because that's not really fair and we don't really know. But from the outside, it just seems like he just doesn't, he just isn't ever available, is he? So, and quite simply, Derek, we can't carry somebody that's that expensive in our squad. So, in all honesty, as I said previously, I'm not caring where he goes. And Derek, I know people will say we should get $1 million, 2 million, or whatever, and I understand that completely. I really do, and I get it. But this is a guy that's taken a hell of a lot of money out of Rangers, $1.5 million a year, and possibly slightly more, and we're getting absolutely no value. And the money that we spent bringing him in and stuff like that. It's best for everybody that this boy goes out and plays football and finds his place, because he's just wasted in our squad. And where we're going, Derek, as I said, the massive strides we made in cutting the wages last year, and this will go again at it. And he's one of the top ones, along with Dowell, who's gone, Lawrence, who's there and thereabouts as well. Plenty of interest in him. I would expect in the next couple of days, hopefully, that there would be more interest, sort of concrete, on those couple of players, and we can get more value in the squad. That's for sure. I would much rather, we discussed this, and I had it in a article at the start of January as well. I would much rather have Zach Lovelace being available in the first team squad than Ravi Matondo. So, and yes, Zach has injury issues himself, but he's not getting top dollar and providing absolutely nothing for it.
Yeah, Rangers need to move him on. It's good that they've managed to shift Kieran Dowell out the door. Tom Lawrence is another one. I think it would be important that Rangers try and move him on. According to my last accounts, I've seen that there are a number of championship clubs that are keen on him, but I think it's likely that he will be moving on in this window as well. Another report, let's see lots of comments coming in about a player that has been linked. He was linked in the summertime as well, if I remember, and that is Bobby Clark. A lot of comments coming in about him. Liverpool youngster, of course. He's been allowed to move out on loan, and a number of championship clubs keen on him. I think he's been out at Red Bull Salzburg at this moment in time, if I'm not mistaken. But it's thought that Rangers are one of the clubs that have just been thrown in as keeping tabs on him. He's the son, of course, of Lee Clark, formerly of Newcastle, formerly of Kilmarnock, his manager, if you remember, a few years ago. It's thought Swansea, Derby, Hull City, some of the teams in the mix for him, looking to bring him in on loan. Bobby Clark, do you know much about him, Stevie?
I know that his dad used to be manager of Kilmarnock and play for Newcastle. That's it, mate. No. I know the name, and I know, like you say, I think we had a discussion about him last summer, and if you probably pull up the clips, you would have seen the same glacial expression on my face when you're talking about him as well. That no, I don't know much about him in the slightest, but it's only obvious, I think, Derek, when we've spoken openly as a club that we'd maybe be looking for one or two loan moves in, that when a young guy and becomes available on loan, even if we are interested or not, we're going to be linked with him. So we'll just need to wait and see what transpires in the next couple of days. I'm not overly concerned about who we bring in. I would swap it, and this will probably be controversial. I would rather remove 2 or 3 from our squad than worry about who's coming in, because at this stage, I would want to see game time for Inciala, Fernandes, Bailey Rice, Zach Lovelace, Finlay Curtis. Obviously, we can't play all of them at the same time. I get that. I'm not completely naive. But I wouldn't want to bring somebody in on loan who might stifle one of our own players getting some more game time. And I know that Fernandes isn't our own player, but with Fernandes, when you look at the centre-back position, when you consider that Leon Balogun's going out of contract, John Souttar has yet to sign an extension, so at some point we're going to have to make a decision on that one. And then you look at Robin Proper. Potentially Robin Proper might be a one-and-done season type player. So, centre-back could need a lot of work. Now, Rafael Fernandes, boys, come in. He might be one that we can bed in and see what he's like within a view to maybe extending the loan for next season, maybe going making it a permanent thing. I don't know. But we may as well see what he's like now that he's here. And that's my kind of thinking surrounding that, Derek. Clinton Inciala, in that discussion, I would rather he gets another 15 games and we can properly bed him in and see what he's like properly in that kind of structure and get him ready for further seasons, rather than, like Bailey Rice, get him game time, rather than bringing somebody else in and then it doesn't work. So that's just my viewpoint, Derek, with people coming in. Unless it's a really worthwhile thing, I would rather we just got people out the door and concentrate on what we can develop for further years. I don't think there's much happening in this window anyway. So I'm going on the premise that there's not going to be a lot happening. And, unless it was a superb deal that we're unaware of and things are happening, then great if so. But if not, I'm quite happy with the kind of status quo and trying to move people out rather than bringing it in. Here's a question for you. Would you settle for Rabbi Matondo, Tom Lawrence, etc. going out the door if it meant those players that I mentioned getting more game time and building towards something else?
I think I would, yeah. I think I would. Given the league's gone, it would be a different story, I think, Stevie. If
sure.
Rangers
if it was closer,
yeah. But
I think we can win the Europa League with Bailey and Zach and stuff like that anyway. So
easy. Yeah. No problem at all. Just on Clark, he came off the bench last night for Red Bull Salzburg in the Champions League, so he does have that experience of playing at the top level. But it's thought, I think they had they're struggling domestically. Pep Linders, who brought him there, he worked at Liverpool in the past. He was sacked, so there's a feeling that Bobby Clark may feel that he'll want to move on in this window. So, Rangers, one of a number of clubs that have been bandied in as those that are said to be interested in him. Let's look ahead to the match tonight, Stevie. The manager wouldn't be drawn on his sort of, not team selection, but who would be available in the squad. But it was good to see Václav Černý and John Souttar training with the squad yesterday morning. That's a big plus, of course. Whether Souttar is ready to start the game, I'm not entirely sure. He has been out for some time now, but Rangers are light at the back. No Clinton Inciala tonight. Remains to be seen what the situation is. Who's going to partner Robin Proper? James Tavernier maybe play centre-half as he did against Man United. Who knows? But he's got a bit of a selection headache at the back, Stevie. Ridvan, of course, who missed the game at the weekend. Will he return? Elsewhere in the team, no Yanis Hadji, so there's another space that will need to be filled. How does he line up tonight?
We spoke about John Souttar on Monday, didn't we? And said that he was returning, so that was a bit of a heads up for anybody that watched the show on Monday morning that would have seen me talk about John Souttar. Really glad he's back. I'd like to see John Souttar sign a contract and that situation settle down a wee bit, Derek. You don't want to go into the summer where he's only got a year left and then you need to make a decision over that. So hopefully we'll get some news on that over the next couple of months. Might be a question again, I think, for the manager quite soon. And in terms of that, with that said, you want to see him in at centre-back as soon as possible. So John Souttar's a guy, obviously the Scottish kind of background and things like that as well, that you want to keep, and you really want to try and get him back to the form that he was kind of showing and get him progressing. And would I play him tonight? Difficult one. Not if it's a risk. You do have a home game to Ross County and then Queen of the South in the Cup the following week, so we actually have time to put him in. Is it a massive jump tonight to not go with Balogun and Robin Proper? It's a European game, he should be okay. It's not a physical game. It's not one they're going to overload the box and stuff. He could be okay. So I would err on the side of caution, I think, Derek, in regards to John Souttar. I wouldn't want to put him anywhere where he would potentially, something would flare up and stuff like that. Yeah. But I'm sure the sports science guys and everybody else will have that right on cue and be able to tell the manager, exactly where everybody is. And it's nice that he's back training, that's for sure. That's a definite positive. But as you said, it's a shame that in a game like tonight, you're missing out on Hadji and your Danilos and stuff like that. So, it's the last time that we'll maybe have to put up with this. I know we can only make 3 changes. So who would you look at coming in? Nsiala, maybe Hadji, Danilo. It's a difficult one. There's a few, maybe. Yeah, there's a few names in there, isn't there? So, we're gonna have to be kind of creative and careful about what we do with the squad. It's probably another reason why bringing somebody else in isn't a really, forefront of my mind to do. So, yeah, we'll just need to wait and see, Derek. It's going to be a good game, though. I'm looking forward to it. It's a good chance at Ibrox. Plenty of tickets left if people are looking and thinking about getting along under the lights. It should be a good atmosphere and a good night. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I tell you what, they're in fine fettle as well, Union. If you want to learn more about them, folks, I spoke to Francois Garit, who we had on a couple of years ago, if you remember, when the teams met previously, and he told us a bit about them. They're going well in the league, third at the moment. They're on a long unbeaten run. I think 11 or 12 matches unbeaten. They've had some good results in Europe as well, but they see this as a bit of a free hit because last week was their cup final, if you like, against Braga. They had to win that game to make sure that they were progressing to the next round. They do have a couple of players suspended after Nick Walsh was flashing the cards last week as well. So they will be missing a couple of players. There's some players, Francois told me, like Rangers, are not part of the European squad. They do have a wonder kid in their ranks that is pretty decent. Van de Pierre, I think. Van den Per or something like that, I'm sure he's called. But apparently Rangers can get at them on the flanks, and it'll be interesting to see how they shape up tonight. A very different side than the one that Rangers played a couple of seasons ago. I'm told that they aren't as strong as they were then. But I don't think Rangers, you could argue, are as strong as they were back then as well. So do go and give that a watch, folks. Just on the team selection, there's a point that came in I wanted to flag up from Chris. He says, Tava's right back, not a centre-half. He is a right back, but I thought he did really well last week against Man United at centre-back, Stevie.
I don't know. I think that James Tavernier, Luke, has done all right recently. And as an emergency kind of centre-half in a really difficult situation last week, I thought he'd done fine. Obviously, his range of passing from Tav and the ability to cross and find chances is exceptional. Tav, I think, played the ball in for Eagleman against Spurs at home, which was an excellent kind of cross ball. He had one rangy one like that previously, but his ball through for Cyril at Old Trafford was exceptional, wasn't it? So, would I play Tav at centre back? No, but it's a nice thing to know that if it was a desperate situation again, you're not throwing him completely in at the deep end. He has some experience in there. So I thought he'd done all right. Would have been a rush to do it again? I'm not sure. But that pass, his pass for the goal was absolutely exceptional. So I would probably go with Cyril actually up front tonight alongside Hamza in behind him and hopefully Czerny back on the right-hand side as well. So, if he could find a few passes like that tonight. It's interesting, Derek. I don't know much about Union, but I'm kind of expecting Rangers to be too strong for them. I don't know if that's a wise thing to feel like.
That's the feeling over there as well.
I mean, I remember obviously the away game last time around where it was 2-0 and it was a bit of a horror show from Rangers. I think they were particularly poor, but then beat them 3-0 at home. Somebody in the comments will be able to remind me. I know Malik Tillman scored the third with a header that came across and he kind of beat the keeper to it for the third goal. I can't for the life of me remember who else scored that night, the first and second goals. I don't remember in the slightest. So somebody out there with more knowledge will be able to look it up or tell me from their own memories, but I don't remember, Derek. So tonight, again, I just like to see Rangers go and put in another performance. Can I keep building, get a level of consistency up? That's what it's like. Tav, Cholak, Tillman.
Yeah, the Tav penalty. Yeah, I'm like you, Stevie. I had to check it there. It was a Tav penalty, Cholak. Yeah,
can't remember what a penalty's like. Never mind anything else, Derek.
I don't know what's one of those. Deary me.
It was interesting just to slightly go back. Obviously, we spoke about it on Monday with the red card for Diamande. It was no surprise that got rescinded. An absolute nightmare of a decision on Sunday. It's only just as well, Derek, that it was last minute as well. And
I know
a mistake as high profile as that, and then to go and see it, VAR not to give him the proper angles, and then Nick Walsh to stick with his decision. I found that incredible. So I'm glad that it was overturned. And it's a real shame on Diamande, who had a really good game on Sunday as well. And it did. We should have been talking about 3 really lovely goals and Rangers' ability to kind of come back and win that. And we should have been talking about, hopefully this is a line in the sand with the away games. Hopefully we're going to become consistent and that will become a normality again. We certainly shouldn't have been talking about what was a horrific decision, but I'm glad that that's certainly been rectified.
Yeah, me also. Other big news yesterday, good positive news is that Finlay Curtis has been tied down on a contract extension. Philip Clement says, we're delighted that Finlay has committed his future to Rangers. He's a player who's been around our first team setup for a significant period of time, and his hard work and dedication has been immediately clear in the opportunities he has been afforded in recent weeks. As a boyhood Rangers fan, he's well aware of what it takes to represent this club, and I look forward to his continued development over the coming years. And Finlay said, it's a proud day for myself, my family and friends, and it's a good feeling to commit my future to the club. So delighted to see the young lad get tied down because he's a hot prospect. Big things are expected of him. And he's now getting a flavour of first-team action as well, which is fantastic. There's a comment as well that came in from Millwall Fan Cam. He says, anything on Zach Lovelace. He's the other player that has been offered a new deal. At the time of recording right now, he is yet to sign that contract extension, but I'd very much hope that he would see his future at Ibrox. But the news on Curtis, Stevie, I think that is most welcome.
Yeah, it is, and it's somebody that I've spoke about quite a lot. Obviously, there's other people that will attend a lot more youth games than me. I bow down to the knowledge of the likes of, Big Willie, Big Spates, that goes everywhere, and the youth boys that report so well on social media about these guys. And Finlay Curtis is somebody I really like. He stuck out like a sore thumb in a previous visit to Stenhouse Muir when Rangers B won 4-1 in the Challenge Cup, and he was great up front, scored a really nice goal. He's more... Somebody asked me yesterday what he was like. Was he more like Chris Burke? And he's not a technical, tricky winger like that. He's more of an old-fashioned kind of direct. He's more in style. He's more like a natural novel, the Peter Lovenkrands pace and direct than he is a trickier player like a Chris Burke, who was more technical and skillful at that age. So I don't think the styles are comparable to any of the boys that I mentioned, but just he's more like them in terms of how he plays the game. Really direct player. He's got an eye for goal, Derek. I'd love to see him get more game time. I'm delighted that he stayed. He's a Rangers fan, obviously. His whole family are. He's a great young kid. Interviewed him a few times with the B team and stuff. So, listen, he's a promising one. I'd like to see him get more game time. I'd like to see him just be on the bench at times as well, Derek. There's no point in having boys that are never going to feature. So if these guys can and they can get the odd 5-10 minutes where they can, then that would be absolutely wonderful for them. Obviously, there's a cup game coming up, which we hope that's no given. but we'd hope to be in a position where maybe one or two of them can get 10, 15 minutes. So it was great to see Paul and Seal come on as well at the weekend. He's another one, box to box, really fantastic young talent. And this is a stage for them, isn't it? Can they progress? Can they take their opportunities? It's a sink or swim when you get to this moment. But it's really positive thing. On Zach Lovelace, again, been offered a new deal. And we just need to wait and see what happens with him. Maybe he's saying to himself, I want to see if I'm really going to get more game time and stuff like that, which I hope he does. He's such a talent, bundles of pace, skill, can finish. Had problems with him being fit, hasn't he? So let's hope he can put all that together and he can be part of this squad. I think he can. It's a shame that he got injured when he did against St Mirren, because I thought that was his real time. And he's basically been injured since then. But I've got high hope for Zach. Again, another lovely young lad, got his feet grounded and got a right attitude and stuff like that. So I'm really hopeful. If he stays then and he can stay fit, I think he'll have a part to play. And it's one of these ones where it depends on how he progresses. Could he be a squad player? Yeah. He's got the ability to be a squad player, but he's got the potential to be so much more. So I wouldn't be happy with Zach Lovelace just being a squad player, Derek. I would want to see just how much we can push him and how much he can go on. So really hopeful he'll stay, that's for sure.
Yeah, me too. It wouldn't surprise me if there are clubs, particularly down south, that might look at him as being a bit of a bargain and try and entice him down south. Certainly Championship clubs. We know that he made a handful of appearances for Millwall before he joined Rangers. So, I think that's important that Rangers try and get him tied down to a new deal. Right, that'll do us there. Big thank you to Stevie and to you all for tuning into the show as ever. Very much appreciated. Just a heads up, folks, we'll have all the usual coverage from Ibrox tonight. We'll be with you around about 7:15 for the team news reaction video, and then we'll be on just after the full-time whistle with our post-match reaction. Do you think Rangers are going to win, Stevie?
Why are you asking me? When did I ever know anything? That's listen, I'm very hopeful of a strong performance. I'm looking forward to being there, looking forward to covering it, and I'm hopeful of a strong performance, Derek. If you ask me, yes, I would back Rangers to win the game tonight. And listen, if they do win tonight and they end up with 14 points of the group, then I think it would be great. Is that your window cleaner or something, Derek? One of your servants?
My next door neighbour just waving as she drives by. So, just being a friendly neighbour, Stevie.
All right, good, mate. It's normally a window cleaner or a postie or something, but
he's not turned up this year, actually. But he needs to get his finger out, by the way, because my windows are needing cleaned pronto.
Look, strong performance, hopefully. Good performance. I'm just looking to see more of. I want to see the likes of Nico Raskin continue. I want to see James Tavernier continue with his form. I want to see Hamza Gaman. You know, Cyril's on a hot streak now, so I expect him to score an overhead kick from the halfway line the way he's going, and equally miss from 5 yards out at the same time. But I think there's a lot to kind of look forward to individually, and you just hope it kind of comes together and keeps that kind of good feeling going on that's happening. So I'd settle for a good performance, and then everything else should follow.
Yeah, let's hope so. Right, that'll do us there. Thank you again, folks. And we'll speak to you a little later on. Bye for now.